Gotta say, Spider-Man Vault Edition was one of the worst-kept secrets since I've been paying close attention to pinball. But that's okay. I think sometimes it's okay to telegraph your next move a little bit. Whether or not it was on purpose, I don't know. But it's all the rage to chat about today. Spider-Man Vault Edition is announced. We will thoroughly unpack that story here on episode 213 of Coast to Coast Pinball. Let's go. Welcome to Coast Pinball. My name's Nate Shivers. This is a podcast / commentary / man at a quarters, right? / slashes, of course, friendly listener. How you doing? So, coming to you not live from a rainy, we're getting rain in Southern California, a rainy San Diego here, late into the evening, Monday, January 4th, 2016. Happy New Year. Good to be here with you. I know that the last show launched right on January 1st, and we called that Happy New Year, but really this is the first one I'm fully recording in the new year. So, and hey, look, Stern made a big announcement, like I sort of alluded to last episode. I the CES show is coming. I knew stuff was happening. I'm not an insider with air quotes around it, but I can make deductions out of things happening out in the air. And we got the Spider-Man Vault Edition. We got the second Vault title announced, the true Vault title. I know Lord of the Rings got remade. I know there's been remakes of other games, but the true second time they reached into the deep, dark, scary vaults there in Chicagoland to look into the history of the company and yank something out. And this time they went back 9 years to May of 2007 to Spider-Man. We're going to just get right into the Spider-Man Vault Edition.
Highlights and lowlights. Forum static.
Going up.
Going down.
Well, I mean, because we're going to talk about the highlights and the lowlights. It's obviously, there's a lot of forum static about this, tons of forum static about this, and going up, going down, well, if you're a Spider-Man owner, you may be seeing things going down a little bit right now. Or maybe not. Maybe that's the story. I don't know. So, we got the announcement today. I'm going to turn to one of my favorite websites to help me do this in a proper order with some nice flow to this. We're going to go to pinballnews.com. And look at their posts, because the photos are laid out for me quite nicely, and we got some details. So if we look at the official announcement by Stern, I'll give you the brief overview. We go, Elk Grove Village, Illinois, January 4th, 2016. Stern Pinball Inc., the world's oldest and largest producer of arcade-quality pinball machines, announced today the release of its Spider-Man Vault Edition pinball machine. Inspired by the Marvel Universe comic series, Spider-Man Vault Edition is an update of the pinball classic. The game features all new art, animation, and sound packages based on the legendary Ultimate Spider-Man comic series. Spider-Man is one of Marvel's most popular characters worldwide. Our goal was to take one of our most popular games and make it even better, said Gary Stern, chairman and CEO of Stern Pinball. Stern Pinball and Marvel Studios share a love for the characters in the Spider-Man universe and have a long, successful history of collaboration. This is a great pinball interpretation of the adventures of Spider-Man. So here's the feature set that they list. Let's just go through this and get the story out there if you haven't been reading every little thing on the internet all day long. The same amazing gameplay of the original with an all-new look and feel. So what they're saying is the layout of this game is the same. This is the Steve Ritchie classic Spider-Man design game. The ramps haven't moved. The middle drop bank target hasn't moved. Sandman's still where he should be. Doc Ock is where he should be. The Green Goblin targets are where they should be. It's all going to feel like that game you already know. All-new look and feel. So all-new look is the art. They have done away with the Sam Raimi Spider-Man, trilogy movies artwork, the Tobey Maguire era Spider-Man. They've done away with that Sony PlayStation 3 font that we all lived with for a long time. And we've gone to the Ultimate Spider-Man comics. Because if you're not a comic book person, which I'm really not a comic book person, comics get redone all the time, and they have new authors and new artists, et cetera, come in and kind of do like runs of say X-Men or Spider-Man or Superman or whatever. And the art coming on this game is out of the Ultimate Spider-Man universe, so it has a certain look, really thin little waist, kind of a big head, big eyes. It's a certain look. It's not classic Spider-Man to me, because I grew up seeing Spider-Man in the 80s and early 90s, I guess. But I think to many, this actually is what Spider-Man looks like. So, Ultimate Spider-Man universe is a fairly popular version of Spider-Man, from what I understand. So, all new art package, including cabinet, back glass, decals, and playfield plastics, are designed based on images from the actual Marvel Ultimate Spider-Man comics library. So, like I just said, all the art everywhere, all the way around, is based on that Ultimate Spider-Man. All new custom molded toys specifically designed and decorated to capture the Ultimate Spider-Man art style. So Doc Ock, Sandman, Venom, and the Green Goblin are all new toys. We'll go through those in a minute. All new animation and dot matrix video art designed around Ultimate Spider-Man comic art. So if you remember the original Spider-Man game, the 2007 game, it used the movie capture style artwork for many of the modes and stuff. So you had like the very low res dot work like you see in Game of Thrones right now. That's what they did on Spider-Man. So now they have new dot matrix video art and new animation around that. So it's not the same exact things. All new custom speech and sound effects. So they're not using the movie callouts, because this is abandoning the movie. This game pretends those movies don't exist. We're living in the world of Ultimate Spider-Man in the comics. So they had to have new callouts. So you'll have a Peter Parker Spider-Man voice. You may have the new reporter guy. You'll have the new Green Goblin, etc., etc. New Sandman, whatever. New mode event themes based on the Ultimate Spider-Man universe. So the modes... the themes to the modes in the original game came straight out of the movie, and since we're abandoning that intellectual property, we had to rename all the modes. Web slinger themed laser cut side armor in black powder coat with contrasting color inserts. So the side armor where the flippers go and then the armor that runs to the back of the box is fancy. It is laser cut out with like a hand shooting a web, Spider-Man hand shooting a web, and it says like thwip. Thwip is not an actual word, but it's a sound. There's a word for that Teresa could probably tell us when you make up a word to sound like a sound, etc. So, it's like upgraded fancy side armor. 2 new music tracks plus the original score. So the original score is there. David Thiel did this music, I believe. Said that without doing my notes and research, so I'm pretty sure it's David Thiel. And they've added a couple new songs as well. Numerous improvements to durability based on research of the original game's field experience. This is one of the interesting points of this game is they've gotten to see how Spider-Man wore over the past 9-10 years. They've got to look at, okay, where did this break? Where did this wear out? What could we do to make this better if we were going to make it again, which they're now doing. So here's the ones that they're listing. Steel plastic protectors at the Sandman and in the pop bumper area. So they are putting steel protectors to protect plastics from getting broken. Vertical up kicker, opening playfield protectors at Doc Ock and the Sandman. So again, areas with high wear and high breakability factors, they are reinforcing. Stainless steel playfield protector beneath the web slinger in the pops. All right, so another area there. All stainless steel web slinger ball guides, so not plastic ball guides. Improved ramp guards, optimizations to the design of anti-ball trap plastics and ramp covers. So they've just kind of tweaked things a little bit. Improved wire from ramp mounting details. They're probably hiding the wires a little bit better in certain areas. Anti-wear Doc Ock playfield magnet assembly. So this is no longer the little tiny magnet with the mushrooming problems that you might see. We've now moved on to the Walking Dead style big circular double looking magnet. And all LED playfield lighting. I think that was a no-brainer. This is not color changing lights in this playfield. This is just standard LED lighting, which I'm so thankful over the course of just doing this podcast has become industry standard. The Ultimate Spider-Man is a superhero comic book series published by Marvel Comics from 2000 to 2009. The series is a modernized reimagining of Marvel's long-running Spider-Man comic book franchise as part of its Ultimate Marvel imprint. Pricing and availability. That's not really much of a story here on today. Just kidding. Pricing and availability. Vault Edition. $7,595 USA MSRP. Manufactured suggested retail price. Sales tax not included, etc., etc. Available through authorized Stern pinball distributors and dealers around the world, and additional details are available upon request. So that's your announcement. So let's talk about first impressions. When I first was Oh man, am I going to out somebody here? When I first was leaked the artwork, I'll call it for what it is. Feel free to send your leaks to me anytime you like. I will keep them secret. When I was first leaked the artwork, I only saw the playfield. And I thought, well, I get what they did, but it doesn't look all that different. It's the same basic color scheme. It's the same layout. They didn't completely wipe the playfield down to the whiteboard and draw a whole new game. They kind of just replaced everything with this new artwork out of this new universe. I don't know whether these were, pieces that were taken out of a assets book, or if it was taken in the style of these assets and put onto the playfield specifically for the game. I think it's probably somewhere in between or just that. I'm not totally sure. I will tell you one of the biggest upgrades to the playfield art from where I can stand is actually on the plastics. I think the plastics are much, much better. Got comic book characters on the slingshot plastics, which may not excite everybody, but they are way better than the photographic versions on the 2007 game. I think the plastics up the left-hand side, past up north of Green Goblin, are really, really good. I think those tie in quite nicely. I think overall, it's just a more polished game. I think that the comic book art style lends itself to a pinball playfield much better. Did it blow me away? Nah, it didn't blow me away. Do I think it's good? Yeah, I think it's actually really good. I think it's fantastic. I think it's an A- to me. I would have liked, I guess personally, a little bit more separation in the art from the original. I would have liked to have seen some other sort of backdrop. You've got the city backdrop that sort of blends in there with, the one Spider-Man coming at you from underneath the Green Goblin targets, and there's the two heads down at the bottom. There's the Spider-Man head, and there's also the black Spider-Man down there. I think it's really good. And if I'd never seen the other one, I would think this is fantastic. Having seen the other one, it pushes me a little to the side of I wish they had kind of reimagined the whole thing. One thing I never loved about the Spider-Man art playfield was the multiple Spider-Mans all over the playfield. Just here's a little tiny one in the middle, here's a bigger one here, and then there's the heads down here by the flippers. I always wish they'd, varied up a little bit of the art on there. But it's okay. I really think it's fantastic. I think that this playfield will certainly cement itself as the timeless Spider-Man playfield going forward, because it simply won't age as poorly as the 2007 art has, because that stuff out of the movies, to me, when I see that, I see a few of these out on location still, it just looks like, man, it looks like the early 2000s to me. It just really does. And not in a good, happy way, kind of in a bland, way. So that struck me. What you'll obviously notice right off the bat is the new Sandman toy mold that's right in the center. This was always weird. I remember the first time I saw a Spider-Man pinball machine, I was so kind of bothered by the Sandman being the main character, because I'll give you a little bit of thinking here from my point of view. I never saw the third movie. I saw the first one, I thought was pretty good. I saw the second one, which kind of lost me, and I never even watched the third one. And I believe the third one is where a lot of the stuff from the pinball machine came from. So, or at least some of the stuff. Not a lot, I should say some of the stuff. And that Sandman guy just never looked right to me in the middle. The new Sandman guy, he has a green top and he falls into sand in the bottom. He just looks like a comic book character to me now. It isn't some realistic looking movie thing. It's more like, oh, this guy clearly looks like he came right out of a comic book. I think it's a major upgrade. The Doc Ock character, the Doc Ock on the original Spider-Man, was very much just a torso, and that was it. And it was based on the actor who played the Doc Ock. This one, we have a full-on Doc Ock, which I think is much better, far superior, more comic booky. He has little things coming out from behind him and whatnot. I just think it's better looking. I'm actually trying to find a picture of the original playfield so I can look at this and I know what I'm talking about here. So playfield, that's what I'm looking for. Thank you, ipdb.org. So yeah, way better. So it's not just a torso there. And then you have that, like we said earlier, we have the larger magnet below it. Let's see, the Green Goblin. This is probably one of the big lowlights. If I was going to say, what are the lowlights of this game? This, to me, is the lowlight. Is the Green Goblin changed to the Ultimate Spider-Man version Green Goblin, who a lot of people are comparing to, it looks like the Incredible Hulk. I get that. It sort of does look like the Incredible Hulk. And that's fine. I mean, they're trying to stay true to the certain era Spider-Man. Fans of these comic books will probably appreciate that. The big story here is that they took the mech out of this Green Goblin. Because on the original, the Green Goblin shook around and moved. It had he was on some sort of, I don't know if it was a coil or some sort of mechanism below him that moved him around when you hit the targets. That's gone. He's now just a stationary toy sitting on top of the bank of 5 Green Goblin targets. Not a huge make or break deal for me, because I honestly, if you had quizzed me a few days ago, I don't know if I could have told you that Green Goblin toy actually moved or not. But now that I know they did change that, it's a shame to see any features go away on this, considering, you know what I'm saying? So we'll get to that. And then the Venom toy in the back left. The new Venom toy, I think everybody is sort of in agreement, just looks awesome. It's a very, very good-looking toy. Big-time upgrade to the original. And again, it goes from sort of a torso-up Venom to like a full, dark, ugly, mean-looking Venom kind of lunging at you. So I like that a lot. That looks great. So Spider-Man is not a game that I think was built around the toys as far as interacting with the ball as much. Spider-Man is a Steve Ritchie game. It's about flow, and it had a certain layout with the upper right flipper that people really liked. And a lot of people, when Star Trek came out, thought, oh, this game feels like that, and that game's awesome, so I like this game. So it's sort of a known entity, a proven winner, a layout that works. Great use of the magnet at Doc Ock. I think it's fantastic. I love the crammed-in little shots around the center bank target. I love the ramps on both sides. I just always thought that was a really fun layout here. And so you have, basically the same layout. Definitely polish. That is one of the things. If somebody asks me, well, what are the big differences? I'd say, well, it's new artwork and it's just more polished. It just looks a lot more cohesive and put together. When I jump back and forth between photos of the old and the new, that's the one thing I can tell you, is it just looks like a more complete package. Let's take a look at the cabinet and back glass art. So I showed Teresa. I did a little blind test with Teresa. I said, which one do you like better? And she just laughed at me and was like, of course this one. And she was pointing to the new back glass art. The original translate on the Spider-Man was not bad. I certainly wouldn't say, oh, that's an ugly translate or that's a bad translate. But it was very much just a big Spider-Man coming at you with all the enemies sort of crowded behind him. The logo and very digital-looking cityscape behind him. It's okay. It's fine. What you get now on the new Vault Edition is a very much straight out of a page off of a comic book, a scene where Spider-Man and Doc Ock, I guess that's Doc Ock, right? I've been assuming that's Doc Ock all day, are fighting because he's got the big things coming off of him. And at first, I was a little thrown because I thought, well, man, why did they go so action on the back glass with the speech bubbles included? You have the speech bubbles coming off the bad guy was saying garg. I don't know how to pronounce that. And then a little side piece off of the speech bubble says, my eyes. And, I was kind of like, oh, why did they go so specific? Why are we so specific on what we needed to see there? But the more I look at it, the more I like it. The more I like the feeling of Spider-Man kicking down at the bad guy, pushing the bad guy right out towards the player. There's that forced perspective so that the Doc Ock character is much bigger because he's coming at you and Spider-Man's coming down and he's torn up. And it tells a story. Throughout the day, I've gone back and forth on if I liked it or not, and I actually really like it. And I like the fact that the logo of the game is off-centered. It says Marvel and Spider-Man up in the upper left. There's just something, I don't know, pretty unique and interesting about this back glass that I think probably will go down as one of Stern's better back glasses. I think this blows the Game of Thrones back glasses out of the water. Blows it out. I think this is right up there with Metallica Monsters Edition as far as the best Stern back glasses. I really, really like this one. Cabinet art, it's a cityscape with Spider-Man hanging onto a street lamp. Same on both sides, which I don't know if we normally see that. It's cool art, has big Spider-Man logo, and then the head has Spider-Man punching down at the Green Goblin on one side, and it looks to be the same again on both sides, and it has the animated word smack on it. I kind of like all that. It's very comic book feeling. So I like that, and then the front panel where the coin door is has some like cityscape stuff going on. I can't get a really great look at that if there's anything special and fancy there, but overall, I'm not usually concerned with cabinet art. That doesn't really matter to me much. Honestly, if these games were all just solid black on the sides, I wouldn't care much. But this is absolutely, as far as art on cabinet goes, looks really great. And if you're a fan of comic books, a fan of Spider-Man, you're going to want to have a side of this game out on the end of an aisle. I think it looks fantastic. The laser cut armor looks sweet. It looks really good. I like that a lot. They show the game with the legs being standard Stern Pro powder coat, so it's kind of like a textured blackish gray material, which does not match that laser cut armor, which looks to be solid black with then the red hand cut out and the white, spiderweb string that he's shooting out with the little thwip thing. So it's interesting that those don't match. You almost might want to see just straight black legs on this. I think there will be the OCD people will be swapping legs out on that game if it does indeed ship with standard pro legs. I know. And then I don't know. It's to me, it's all in all a much more polished. I'll just say it. It's my opinion. It's my commentary. It's a better looking game. It's just really a better looking game. Is it going to play different? Probably not a lot different. The magnet's going to be a better, secure, more magnet. The game's going to wear better, obviously. There's something nice about building something a second time. I will say that. So I'm excited to see one of these being played, lit up in person, because I think it's probably going to pop. The colors look really good. I don't know. Very, very overall happy with the look of this game. I have never gotten to really dive deep into a Spider-Man game. I have probably played Spider-Man less than 50 times in my life. It's one of those games where it always seemed like hard to find on location, because it doesn't seem like there's tons and tons of them still out on location. People sort of bought them up and put them in their home collections because it is a popular theme. This is one of those classic themes that a lot of people feel very strongly about. So I haven't spent tons and tons of time. I've always sort of liked it, though. I've always been drawn to it. So this is a very appealing theme, layout, game, etc., 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 etc. All right, let's talk about the big elephant in the room, the price of this game, okay? Check with me, if you will, a calendar. What year is it right now? It is 2016. The original Spider-Man came out in 2007. I saw a lot of talk today about, I can't believe this game has nearly doubled in price in just a short 9 or 10 years. In fact, I saw one post. In less than 10 years, this game has gone up $3,000. I'm like, well, dude, it's 10 years ago. I mean, is that really much of an argument? I mean, not only is it A, quite a bit of time, B, the industry is completely different, and C, have you seen what a home use only Spider-Man 2007 sells for? Because let me tell you, friendly listener, the average sale price of a Spider-Man on eBay, as looked up by the Boston Pinball website, is $4,500. But I will tell you right now, I can't find a nice Spider-Man for $4,500. I cannot. It cannot happen where I live in Southern California. I have seen many Spider-Mans over the last 2.5 years for sale on eBay, Craigslist, Pinside Market, etc., that are, quote, home use only, really nice, with or without mods, between low end, $5,000, up to $6,500. I've seen them as high as in Southern California. Not saying they all sold for that. Not saying that's what the market says they're worth. Just saying that's what I've seen them posted for sale. So that's what the people who own them value them for. There are not a lot of transactions on Spider-Man, because people keep these games. It's a game people are very attached to. So when Stern's looking at what games to re-release, because let's tangent here. Vault editions. Why are we doing Vault editions? Why? Okay, well, I'm going to tell you why. Pinball almost died. Pinball wasn't doing well for a long time. Stern Pinball was dragging pinball manufacturing, new in-box game manufacturing on their back for a bunch of years, right? Before there was Coast2Coast Pinball, before there was Spooky Pinball, before there was Game Room Junkies, back, wasn't really a good industry. It wasn't doing well. And they were doing everything they could to sell new in-box games. And the business was just different. There wasn't as many games being sold into the home. There wasn't as many games being sold into collectors' collections of pinball machines. That wasn't happening. It was still, I've got to get these games into businesses who put them on route and make money. They were money-making machines. And they were doing everything they could to make these games have more value to them. They were working on smaller profits as a company, I suppose. I don't know. I don't have the Stern books. Maybe someday Stern will hand me their books and I can look at them and know this for sure. But I'm imagining back when they were building The Simpsons Pinball Party, Lord of the Rings, later on Spider-Man, that they were trying to cram as much into these games as they could to make them more valuable and prestigious at the lowest price they possibly could, because they were just trying to keep the thing going. And they had some hits. Spider-Man was one of those hits. And Spider-Man sold in the mid 3,000s to high 4,000s price point, I believe. From everything I've read today about how this is just crazy that this game is priced at $7,500 manufactured suggested retail pricing. And now they're actually selling for more than they sold for originally in most cases. If you have a home use only Spider-Man, it's a $5,000 game. Now, I don't know what this whole thing is going to do to that, but a month ago it was a $5,000 game. At least. And a lot of people weren't going to sell them because they love the theme. And they love the game. People love this game. So when Stern is looking at building more pinball machines and becoming a bigger company, they're designing new games. We just had Game of Thrones released in the latter half of last year. We have incoming new games being designed. You have Steve Ritchie, John Borg, John Trudeau working hard at games, new games. So if you built some games back in the darker days when things weren't selling as well, where business wasn't as good, where you didn't have this hungry collector's market that makes games like Doctor Who be $3,000 games in Southern California, that is not a lie. You didn't have that back when you built your Spider-Man game. And you look and you say, wait a minute. We've got this game design already. And I'm looking at you too, Iron Man. We don't have to do all that hard work. We don't have to pull one of our designers to redesign another game. He's already designing his next game. We could take that, put our art people to work on it, figure out some of the stuff that we, could do better on it, put this much work into it. Hey, we'll retheme it with a better, more timeless art package that isn't tied into a movie. Because remember, they marketed this game with the movie. If you go read the original press releases on Spider-Man from Stern in May of 2007, they're very much tying this and wrapping their arms around these big blockbuster movies as best they can to get all the marketing and promotional value they possibly can squeeze out of that movie franchise to help promote pinball. They were doing that. Now they're in a position where they're selling more games each year as pinball grows and pinball thrives. And I know you're out there listening, making pinball get better, because I see my downloads go up. So I know it's happening. And I see Spooky Pinball selling 300 Rob freaking zombie games to crazy people like me. And I see the absolute lack of recent good Stern games for sale in the Southern California market. Find me a Walking Dead Pro. You can't. There aren't any for sale. So I see Stern thriving, and I see them wanting to get bigger, and they move from a 40,000 square foot warehouse facility, manufacturing facility, factory, thank you, is the word I'm trying to grab out of the ether, to a 110,000 square foot manufacturing facility. As things are getting better, as things are booming, as they bring in more people to work on things like the dots and the code and the artwork, the digital arts, the 3D arts. They're bringing in more people. They're growing. And they find a way that they can take this game that was successful, proven successful. There aren't many for sale in the world. They see what the value of a used one that's been played hundreds and hundreds and thousands of times is. And they say, wait a minute, we can use a timeless version of the same art. We can do some new callouts, new dots, new playfield art, cool cabinet art, laser cut rails, and we can sell these for the same price as we just tried to sell you Mustang Premium, Walking Dead Premium, Metallica Premium, Game of Thrones Premium. That'll work, right? That should work. Like, this game, Spider-Man, is not cheap. There's a lot to this game, a lot going on. There's ramps and toys all over. We got to remold the toys. Got to do that. So you put it all together and you throw it out there, and it's like, that's on par with a Mustang Premium, right? That's on par with a Walking Dead Premium, right? That's on par, Game of Thrones Premium, possibly, you might argue. I'm saying it's close. It's in the ballpark. And, we built the regular version of Spider-Man, which, great game, sells great, selling for over $5,000. Used, beat up. A bad one sells for $4,000. We can retail this thing at $75,000. People don't usually pay full retail on products like this. There's like negotiation range. They'll buy from their dealer at a negotiated price, a few $100s less than that. We don't need to sell 4,000 of these games to be successful. We need to sell a few hundred of these games, or 1,000. I don't know what the number is for them. Makes a lot of sense, right? And you did that with Iron Man. Hey, we didn't build very many Iron Mans. That game wasn't appreciated when we launched it. Iron Man didn't catch on until later. Because when we launched it, everyone complained, Stern, you're so cheap. You didn't put any toys. Besides the big one that rises out of the playfield, the one that shoots the ball back at you. Or, other toys. You only have 2 little ramps. Yeah, but a lot of games only have 2 ramps from the Williams era, and you loved those. But now this game's terrible, so nobody bought the game. And then a few years later, the games are going for 25, 30, 40% more than we sold them new for originally. So, hey, why don't we build 500 of those and get them out there and sell them? And it worked. And guess what? They did another run. So that worked. So they see Spider-Man come here, a much better, more timeless theme than Iron Man. And they roll it out. And you know what I had to watch and listen to all day today? I didn't have to do any of it, but I'm telling you what I did watch and listen to after. I listened to a whole lot of people complain a lot about the price. The price. You're going to complain about the price? We all get to complain, and I get to complain as much as I want because I got a podcast. I can talk all night right here, and you'll eventually stop listening, but I can if I want, just like you can on Pinside or on Facebook or wherever you want to be. But I think, friendly listener, if you're listening to this going, oh, Nate's wrong, this thing's too much money, Stern's on a cash grab, I think you're maybe not looking at the big picture here. The big picture here is the used ones are selling for $5,000. They're going to sell a new one for $7,500 retail in a box with a warranty, with all new artwork and new dots that were made for this game, and cooler toys and laser cut armor. And by the way, it's brand new in a box. It was never put in a movie theater with a bunch of grubby kids' hands all over it. I don't see why people are so upset on this one. Actually, I think I know why people are upset. Usually, when we have a game release, we have so much more to talk about and think about and take our heads to, because you see something completely brand new. You see a whole new world under glass. Life under glass. You see a brand new experience. And here we're not getting that. Here we're getting something we already know. We know the layout. We know where the shots are going to be. We know how many flippers. We know how many targets there are. We know. We know what the modes basically do. We know how to score. We know how to work this game. That's already done. So then it was, the art better be good. I'm hearing it's just going to be clip art from some assets book. And I still see some people who don't like the art. Totally fine. Art's totally subjective. Fine. I think it looks fantastic. I think the majority of the people today that I read reviews on this preview launch from thought it looked pretty good. But boy, were people focused on the price, because what else was there to talk about? Right? Hey, the art looks good. Yeah, it does. It looks good. Oh, the price, it's $7,500. What? Hey, man. We all have opinions, but I will tell you, if you think Stern is making some big giant mistake and they're going to cost themselves on this one, I think you're wrong. I think it comes down to this. Okay, I did this on a podcast a long time ago. We're going to do it again. Math with Nate. All right, I have a product. I have this Motorhead Frisbee. I have a Motorhead Frisbee. And I want to sell these Motorhead Frisbees. And I can price it either $5, okay, stick with me, 5 could be $5,000, right? Or I could price it at $7, which could be $7,000, probably close to what you'd pay for a Spider-Man Vault Edition. $5 or $7. it costs me all in to make this Motorhead Frisbee, paying the royalties to the recently deceased, rest in peace, Lemmy's great family. I'm sure they're fantastic. They have to be if they're his family. $4. So at $5, I make $1 off this Motorhead Frisbee. You with me, friendly listeners? $1 if I sell it for $5. We're pretending there's no middleman here, okay? We're pretending there's no dealer network for my Frisbees. $5, I can sell X, right? X, a number. And I make $1 times X. At $7, remember, still cost me $4, I make $3, all right? $3, and I can sell X. Let's say at $7, I sell 100 Frisbees. So I make $300, right? Oh, Nate, you're stupid. That Frisbee's way too expensive. I would have bought this game if it had been like under $6, but since it's $7, I'm not buying your Frisbee. You know how many of those? You'd have sold 3 times as many at $5. Oh, okay. At $5, sir, I would sell 3 times as many Frisbees? Yes, I'm sure you would. Maybe more. Well, maybe more, maybe not. 3 times as many Frisbees at $5. So if I sold my Frisbee for $5, I'd make 300 times $1, which is $300. The same amount I made by selling 100 at $7. And guess what? I only had to make 100 of them. Right? Y'all with me there? Is everybody with me? Sometimes this whole argument of you'd sell a lot more at less money is bad math. Period. End. Stop. All right. So now I'm going to sit back down because I got excited there for a second. What do I really think? What do I really think of this game at this price? Would I buy a Spider-Man Vault Edition at $7,500 retail? Friendly listener, I think you know me. It's got to hit me on all fronts for me to buy the game. So I'm not really the customer for this game because I don't have any room. I just don't. I have no room. But let's imagine a world where I didn't live in San Diego, California. Or I lived in I don't know, pick a place. Where I lived in Fargo, North Dakota. Be a horrible existence on some levels, and I'm sure a lovely, great existence on a few levels of some sort. I know I have some listeners in North Dakota, so I'm sorry, but I'm using your town because you know what I know about Fargo? I could get more space for less money than I can in San Diego. So I live in Fargo, and I've got all the space in the world, and I've got similar financial situations. Would I buy a Spider-Man Vault Edition in this pricing structure? Do I think this is a buy or a sell, or good or bad thing? I would be inclined to try because I think that this is a fantastic layout. I don't already own Star Trek because that would influence this. I really think I said this during the Star Trek rollout. If I already owned Spider-Man, I'd have a real problem buying Star Trek because they are very similar. I'm not saying they're identical; they're just very similar. And in a smallish collection, I don't know if you'd want both. So I might be inclined to buy this because I like the timelessness of the look. I love the layout. It's proven. I love that there's it's in some ways more generic because it's based off this big comic book world and not this specific movie set. I don't like Tobey Maguire. I just don't. I don't like that guy. So I don't want him on my pinball machine. Even though it's digital Spider-Man on top. So I like this. It's a little more the long run with Spider-Man. I want to play it and feel out the call-outs, the modes and everything. But if it creates the right world and it feels great and I had the money free at the time, maybe I might be into this. But let me tell you, this game's not aimed at me. And you folks who are sitting there listening to this podcast, thank you so much for listening, by the way. I appreciate it. Who are sitting there with your fancy Spider-Man behind you going, you know what? There is no way I would sell my Spider-Man for $5,000 and add $2,000 more to get this. They didn't upgrade it enough. There's not enough dudette, whatever, whoever you are. You're not the customer either. That's what other people are missing. You are not the customer person who already owns a Spider-Man. This is aimed squarely in the middle of the collectors and the enthusiasts, as Gary Stern likes to use those terms, who don't own a Spider-Man. and who always kind of wanted a Spider-Man, but didn't really want to buy a used game for $5,000. Who wanted a really nice Spider-Man, but didn't want to pay $5,000. Now, if you want to go down the road of games are just too expensive, it's all just a cash grab. I'm not the person to do that because I think that's ridiculous. Pinball machines are built in the United States. They're incredibly complex. They're hard to do. They are not too expensive. They are very expensive. They are not too expensive. I've said that before and I'll say it again. Pinball machines are expensive. I get it. It's a big box toy for thousands of dollars. Pinball machines, for what they are, new in a box, with a warranty, from a company that has to do the development, do the manufacturing, etc., are not too expensive. Pinball as a hobby is not too expensive. You know how I can prove that? Go on your local Craigslist. There'll be a fantastic pinball machine on that Craigslist for you to go buy tomorrow for less than $100 a month. I guarantee you, in your area somewhere, you can find a fantastic pinball machine that will give you the magic and the joy and the fun of chasing higher scores and trying to get that one more time vibe for less than $1,200, for less than $100 a month. What some people I know pay for gym memberships and things like that, you can own a pinball machine. I absolutely believe that. Pinball itself is not too expensive. Now, new in box games, there's a huge adjustment that's happened, right? Stern games stayed really low for a long time. We saw it in guitars. We had a recession. Guitars were down. Guitars didn't increase in price for years. And then when things righted and got better, and the economy got better, and people had credit again, etc., prices had to go up. Because sometimes companies will weather the storm. They won't give employees as many raises. They won't give employees as many, 401k matches, profit sharings. They won't throw parties. They will cut out all this other stuff to run leaner. You might not hire that extra marketing guy that you need. You get your one main marketing guy, and he's doing enough. He'll get it done. But when you can afford to, and you can hire that guy an assistant, so that somebody else can do all the, the simple basic stuff, and your head marketing guy can really dig in and do the big stuff, work big picture, that's good. But you know what? You need more money to do that, and prices need to go up on your products. Do you think the electric bill in Chicago, Illinois at Stern Pinball has gone down in the last 10 years? Absolutely not. Do you think the cost of getting quality playfield wood has gone down? Because I can tell you it has not. Prices of new in-box machines, they are what they are. Listen, if sales fall apart, if sales just bottom out on all games above $5,000, there will be a correction. I promise you. But when the game is right, the games have been selling. Look, you can't tell me that Jersey Jack Pinball coming out and selling Wizard of Oz and The Hobbit for $65, $75, $85, $9,000 doesn't prove that. Oh, but it has a screen in it and this and that. Yeah, I know. It's got all that. Still a pinball machine. And if you're into pinball and you're into buying pinballs for the home environment, which, trust me, I'm very lucky to be in that group. I know that not everybody listening to this can buy a pinball. I have emails from people who tell me to don't forget that people play on location because I can't afford a game. I know. And I hope you get to play a Spider-Man Vault Edition out on location soon, you friendly listener who can't afford a game or doesn't have space for a game or just doesn't want to own a big, heavy box in their house. I get that. Not everybody can. And that's what's fantastic about this hobby is we're coming from all sorts of different areas. This game is not for everybody. This game has an audience. It has buyers out there. And I know you don't want all the games to be $7,500. I don't think they're all going to be $7,500. But if you look at this game, if you look at Spider-Man compared to the other premium games, Kiss Premium, Walking Dead Premium, the one that really confuses me on this one, honestly, is Metallica Premium. That one always seems like that's a really good value one. And the same with the Pro. That's why I went out and bought the Pro, to be quite honest. AC/DC Premium. Game of Thrones Premium, maybe. I haven't really spent any time on that one yet. That does have an upper playfield, and so I need to give that one some more time. Mustang Premium, for sure. If you look at Spider-Man versus those, this game is priced exactly where it should be. Period. So anyway, that's how you talk for Spider-Man Vault Edition for like 45 minutes and blow your voice out, and you really should be in bed. Friendly listener, I get excited. I love talking pinball, and I love talking about the moves and the happenings in the pinball industry. It is so fun because these are just big toys. It is so fun. Let's not get so mad and excited. It's just a game, man. If you don't want it, if you can't afford it, don't buy it. I hope you get to all enjoy playing it, though. And I think it's cool that a game that really came out before this resurgence is getting this great second life as this Vault Edition. And look, I really hope we get another run of Tron. Tron was sort of at that leading edge of all of this. Tron, I think, is partly responsible for a lot of this. It was just such a fun, compelling game for a lot of people. Do I think a Lord of the Rings Vault Edition should come out? I don't know, but I hope it does. I think that'd be really fantastic. Hold on, let's pull one more out. Let's go to Stern's page. I got to look at their whole history. I'm going to leave you with this. I'm going to find one more Stern Pinball Machine and tell you that I hope it comes out as a Vault Edition. Click on Games. Doing this not live on the air. I love it. And click on Archive. And I know a lot of people say Ripley's. I don't think that one's going to come out as a Vault Edition. Maybe I'm wrong. And I'm only picking the modern stuff. I'm not going back to like the old Stern Electronics stuff or the Data East things right now. I'm just looking at the old games. Out of the rest of everything, yeah, I don't know. Not loving my options here, really. Because you start getting into, obviously, Batman. Batman is the one. I would love to see the Spider-Man work that we just saw happen to Spider-Man. I would love to see the same thing happen to Batman the Dark Knight. I think that'd be fantastic. So, because that's another cool game, cool layout, with an art package that I think could be redone in comic book style and do very well and find an audience. Because that came out in, 2008? So, anyway, that's episode 213 of Coast to Coast Pinball. I must apologize. I have so many emails and Facebook messages, and, I sort of joked with someone the other day that I turned my Facebook profile over to pinball at some point. Someone else who also said they had done the same thing. I just, for a long time, tried to keep Facebook very separate and, not bring pinball into it. But then as I became actual true, quote, friends with people in pinball, I was like, of course I'll add this person because I'm actually friends with them. But then people who I was kind of friends with and they're really friends with my real friends added. I'm like, well, okay, close enough. 2 degrees of separation. I know them good. And then there's the third degree. And then pretty soon there's a bunch of people I don't even know who they are. And I'm just like, whatever, man. It's all nothing to hide on my Facebook page. So then I started getting messages on Facebook, compounded to the messages at coasttocoastpinball@gmail.com, and I'm just buried and not caught up at all. So apologies if I have not responded to emails. I'm busy, start of the year at work, etc., etc. I love all of the emails. I read them all, and I respond when I can. I hope you guys have a lot of fun arguing about Spider-Man Vault Edition, and if it's good, it's bad, it's expensive, it's fine, whatever. Time will tell, and I'll be here to talk about it, right? Thanks for listening. Play more pinball, be nice to each other, and take care of yourselves.